Guys, it's time to talk about the Crucible. Not since September 2018, with the launch of Forsaken, has Destiny 2 seen a new set of maps put into the game. I want to emphasize the use of the word new. Yes, in Shadowkeep, which launched in 2019 by the way, we received one new map called Fragment, alongside a few reissued maps from Destiny 1, the likes of Anomaly, Cauldron, and so on. As of right now, as I'm recording this video, it is April 2021. Let's talk about those new maps we did get all the way back in 2018 for a moment. It's worth mentioning that the new maps that dropped with Forsaken were designed for a brand new game called Breakthrough. We had the likes of Equinox, Citadel, Firebase Echo, and Gambler's Ruin. What do all four of these maps have in common? They are no longer in the game. Why? Because they were designed specifically for the new mode they introduced alongside those new maps, Breakthrough. The mode was a complete and total bust. I don't say that to be rude, it's just simply the truth. It was poorly designed and had next to zero incentive attached to it. So when that mode failed, the new maps were shown to play extremely poorly in the other modes such as Control, Clash and Survival and so on. As a result, today none of those maps are playable any longer. Now the question I have is, why have we got nothing since then? Has the team at Bungie run out of ideas and inspiration for new maps and modes? Is it too much to ask for some new maps, guys? Like, this is crazy, yo, come on. What is going on over there? This is not something that I feel I shouldn't be saying. I think this is something that any PvP guy should be saying. This is insane in my opinion. So, since then, we have seen the return of Trials of Osiris. Again, no innovation or inspiration was required for bringing back Trials of Osiris. It's exactly the same as it was in Destiny 1. In fact, it's just slightly worse. When you look at the token system and the loot system, and of course, if you're on PC, the cheaters, which just, is absolutely insane. But again, I'm going to cut them some slack on the cheating issue. The fact is, guys, PC multiplayer games, every single one of them, they are all plagued with this cheating issue, whether it's Apex, Valorant, Overwatch, Call of Duty, you name it. Cheating on PC is just a thing. So in this video, I'm not going to hammer Bungie for the anti-cheat thing, because I feel like every PC multiplayer game has this problem. But going back to the lack of inspiration, this is the same Bungie famed for a huge variety and selection of PvP modes in the Halo series. Now I want to let you guys know one thing, I wasn't a Halo guy growing up, I was always a Call of Duty guy, so I didn't play these said game modes. But I have a lot of friends who loved Halo, and they would go to many extents to tell me about all of their favorite game modes, such as Griff Ball, Big Team Battles, Snipers Only, an absolute wealth of game modes, man. Custom modes, completely customizable game modes where you could create whatever your heart desires. So much creativity, so much variety, and just so much freshness, But in Destiny 2, it's just stale bread. It is very stale. That is the best way to describe the state of Destiny 2 PvP. Sad as it is to say, it's just the truth. Why is it that in Destiny, the best they can offer is team deathmatch and domination, aka Control? I'd even take Rift back from Destiny 1 at this point, anything. We need some new OBJ modes. Everything they seem to offer is some kind of altered version of team deathmatch. Showdown is currently a decent mode in the weekly rotator, but it's also utterly pointless. There's no incentive to play Showdown. With this game being a looter shooter, of course the loot and the PvE side of the game take precedence, but the same logic now applies to the PvP side of the game. There needs to be loot and incentive no matter the mode. Even in the recent State of the Game post by Joe Blackburn that covered a ton of important topics, and they did even touch on Crucible a little bit, they never once mentioned the subject that I'm bringing to you in this video, which is new maps and new modes. I repeat, guys, since 2018, this game has only seen one new map, just one, Fragment, and it's not that good. I'm gonna be honest with you, it's not a great map. If you're gonna give us one new map since 2018, it could have at least been an absolute banger, Is that why we've only seen one new map? Maybe the people who designed all of the fantastic maps are no longer at Bungie, or maybe those people are put on different projects, who knows? We will never know what's going on behind the scenes. But one thing I do know is having one new map in 3 years is just not good enough for a game that claims to be a PvP game as well as a PvE game. In fact, that claim is one of the things that separates Destiny from its many competitors, such as Outriders, you've got your Division games, you've got your Borderlands, you've got your fail games like Anthem, One thing none of those games ever really did was truly incorporate PvP into the game. Again, you guys know I'm a huge fan of this game. I'm not saying this to be a hater. There's so many good things about this game. I could go on forever about it. And when you see these new games like Outriders and these other games come out, yeah, those games are decent, but they lack the sheen and polish and quality that this game has, that no other game can come close to. And yet it's just spoiled from the PvP side by the lack of new content given to it. It is just very, very disappointing. There's no other way to put it, guys. There is no other way to put it. And this brings me to my next point, which is about the time and effort spent on subclass and weapon sandbox balancing, and why until they add new maps and modes to the game, it's all essentially a waste of time. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I don't want them to balance the sandbox. Stasis definitely needed the nerfs that it's gotten, and it probably still needs a few more nerfs. But my overall point is that until you give like the core of Crucible an overhaul and a fresh lick of paint, all of these changes, they just don't really mean anything, guys. Here's the reality. It's all well and good to make changes to things that need to be changed, but until the core of PvP is changed and overhauled, everything will remain stale. Some seriously stale bread, like 2 weeks old bread here. Let me illustrate the point to you guys. Bungie increases the damage on X weapon. Great, I want to go into the Crucible and try this new weapon. So what happens next? You fire up a game of Control and you're playing on Ultra Flame for the 4th year running. It gets old. It really does. It's hard to enjoy new things in an old environment. This is real simple stuff, man. We at this point we need like 5, 6, maybe even 7 or 8 new maps at this point. That's how stale it feels. I'm probably the best person to say it, or maybe the worst person to say this, because I've been playing the game as long as absolutely anybody. But I feel like a lot of players have been playing the game that long too. And even if they haven't been playing as long as me, if they've been playing half as long as me, the game will still be feeling stale. Because like I said, Ultra Flame's been in the game for 4 years. Control's been in the game for 7 years. It all just starts to add up and just become a very monotonous experience. And the novelty of a new weapon change and the novelty of a sandbox change wears off incredibly fast, in my opinion. And again, I have to reiterate, I'm glad that they do make these subclass and weapon balance changes, but it really is akin to polishing a turd. And I really don't want to say something like that, but it really is true. I strongly believe the constant negativity from PvP players, including myself, is massively down to the fact that the game is just simply stale. Half the maps we play on have been in the game since day 1 of D1. D1 came out in September 2014, so the likes of Burnout, Shores of Time, Twilight Gap, Anomaly, Rusted Lands, Cauldron, Convergence, and I might even be missing a few. These maps, whilst all really good maps in their own right, have been in the game since September 2014. That's 7 years ago, people. 7 years ago, man. It's a long ass time, man. That is a very long ass time. That's a big chunk of time. You know what I'm saying? The vanilla D2 maps, such as Javelin, Endless Veil, Dead Cliffs, Ultra Flame, and so on, have been in the game since 2017. So 4 years ago. It's just stale, guys. It is just stale. It's clear to me that the very core of the Crucible is quite simply out of date. At its core, it's simply very difficult for players to get excited and engage in the Crucible. So what's happened? Where are our new maps? We have untouched locations like Europa that would make for fantastic bases for new maps. We've got the whole Clovis lab area, right? Dude, the first time I stepped foot in that area on Europa, I was like, dude, PvP maps would be lit in this area. It's just such an obvious open goal. Make a map out of this stuff, man. Make 2 maps out of it if you need to. Why not? Why not? That is the question, man. We have the potential for snowy maps in the outer areas of Europa, but it goes even beyond that with other locations such as the moon, for example, never having received any new maps. Granted, you've got Anomaly and Cauldron returning, but they're not new. You could go across all of the planets and you could see, you know, different areas where they could get new maps in, and they just don't do it. And I just want to know why. I just want to know why. It's just, this is a Destiny 2 phenomenon the past 3 years to just be like, you know what? Screw it, man. No new maps, man. No new maps. We're just going to take away old maps and bring them back next season, and you're going to have to do with that. But why? Is it because of COVID? I would just love for them to answer this question, man. I would really love it if Bungie could at the very least explain why we don't get these things. Where, you know, were new maps and modes in production and then COVID happened so it all got scrapped? Or was it simply not something they care enough about to put development time into? If it's the latter, that would be extremely disappointing. I don't have the numbers to hand, but can you imagine how many PvP mains have purchased DLCs since 2018? It would be a lot, man. It would be a lot. And every time they do, they are hoping for new PvP content, and we never get any. Yes, you get new weapons to try. Yes, we got stasis, new subclasses to try. Sure, but we're trying them in very, very old and crusty and rusty maps that we've been playing on for years, and that's why the freshness wears off immediately. There's no sense of discovery, there's no sense of excitement, and there's no sense of new in the Crucible. It's just really, really disappointing, and there's no other way to put it, man. Again, I understand that this game is for sure a PvE and loot game first, and that's fine, but like I have mentioned several times already, it's been over 3 years since we got a new drop of maps. 3 years. In fact, Bungie have now gotten into the practice of removing existing maps and adding them back in place of other existing maps each season. This is the #1 worrying sign for me. Is this their answer to producing new content? Taking old content away and bringing it back later? It's not good enough from a AAA studio, much less a AAA studio that made one of the most popular PvP series of all time in Halo. Seriously, are you telling me next season I'm going to get Retribution, Meltdown and Solitude back, and I'm supposed to celebrate that? It's a bit of a joke at this point, I'm sorry, it really is. So guys, the next time you're typing up a post on Reddit complaining about Bastion or Felwinters or hell even Stasis, maybe it's time to change your tune. This goes for everyone who loves PvP in the game. Destiny PvP is unique, it's special, and a lot of players are incredibly passionate about it, and they deserve some new content. Not rehashed D1 maps, not stowed away D2 maps that come back a season later. New, good, fresh and exciting PvP maps. Is it really so much to ask? Does making this video make me toxic? If anyone at Bungie is hearing this, please consider the points being made. A solid 40% of your player base deserve better than this, but not only that, this is Bungie we're talking about. If there's a studio out there that can make good maps for PvP, it's Bungie. I know they can do it. So just do it.